For your screen printed tote bag project, you will need your tote bag, some silk organza, an embroidery hoop, your squeegee, your screen sealer, your ink binder, your concentrated ink colours, something to mix your ink in, and a paintbrush. You will also need your templates from your booklet or something else to trace, and some card for inside your bag when you're printing. You could even use your cardboard box this came in. Let's get started. So we're going to start by making our screen, and we make that out of an embroidery hoop. So this is a great way to try screen printing at home without having to have loads of kit and just simply making your own little mini screen. So I'm going to unscrew the screw at the top of my embroidery hoop and pop out that middle hoop. And then I'll place my outer hoop on the table and put my organza over the top, and then pop back in my inner hoop like that. Now, the success of a screen is how tight this fabric is in your screen. So no bubbles, don't think, oh, I'll get away with that. It's got to be as tight as possible. So just work your way around, pulling the fabric tight and then tightening the screw until it's kind of as tight as a tambourine skin. You want it really, really tight. So I've got my fabric as tight as I can get it. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to pop that to one side just now and grab my templates, which are in your little instruction booklet. You can see here. Now, feel free to design your own template. You could print something off the computer. Bold shapes work best. So you can see I've gone for really bold shapes like this, nothing too intricate. And you want to make sure you've got at least a couple of centimeters all the way around your design in your hoop. So you don't want something going right to the edge, or that's not going to work. So a couple of centimeters all the way around works best. But I'm going to use one of these designs here, and I'm just going to cut it out. So I'm going to cut out my flower design at the bottom here. So I've cut out my design, I'm going to place it on the table, and I've got a permanent marker, and I'm going to just put the flat side down onto the template and draw around my design with my permanent marker, straight on to the organza. So now I have my design onto my silk organza, we are going to seal around our design. So by sealing, I mean we're going to block the fabric everywhere but the bits that we want to be colour. So I want my flower to be in colour, and I want this to be left the white of the bag and this to be left the white of the bag. So I need to seal everything I don't want to be colour. Have a wee look at your instruction sheet if that is not making any sense to you. And a good way to do this and not get any sealer on the table is to flip it over so that you have a gap between the fabric and the table. So you've got the kind of raised side facing down and the flat side facing up. I'm going to grab my paintbrush and my sealer, and I'm just going to get to work painting in everything but my design. So you want to go right up to the edge and kind of seal over your inner ring there. So that's going to get kind of sealed right up to the edge, otherwise the ink will find its way through. The ink is a bit pesky, and any gaps at all, this ink will find its way through it. So you want to go right up to the edge and make sure that's all sealed in. Every once in a while, flip over your hoop and just make sure you've not got any really blobby bits on the other side here. So you'll notice it kind of goes through, and you want to just spread that out evenly, or it'll take absolutely ages to dry. So just ever so often flip over your hoop and just smooth out any big lumps of glue on the other side. So as you can see, I've let my sealer dry fully, so it's gone clear. And now, just to get any last little holes that are left, we're going to add a second, maybe a slightly lighter coat of the sealer on top, and then let it fully dry. So while our screen sealer is drying, let's have a look at mixing some inks. So in your kit, you'll have your ink binder and your concentrated colours. Now this is magenta, yellow and blue. These are concentrated. And you can mix them to make different colours as well if that's what you'd like to do. So you can split your ink binder into 3 and do all 3 colours, or you could just choose your favourite. I'm going to go with the one that's in the workbook, and I am going to print a magenta flower. So I only need 1 mixing container. So I've got cups. You could use old Tupperwares, a mug, something that you're not going to use again. take your ink binder, which is white at the moment, and I'm going to scoop it into my cup. I'm going to use all of it, I think, just to be on the safe side. And I'm just using an old teaspoon as well. And then I'm going to open my colours. Now be really careful because these have a tendency to go everywhere and they will stain your clothes, so please be careful. There we go. It'll stain your skin as well. It will come out after a couple of washes. And what I'm going to do is I've got a wee lolly stick here and I'm just going to add gradually my colour to my binder. Now, the more colour obviously you add, the stronger the ink will be. So I would say for a good strong pink, you probably want to add most of this tub. You could even pour it in if you're feeling brave. But add a wee bit to start with and give it a good old mix around to see what kind of shade you're getting. So my second coat is fully dry, and what I'm going to do is just trim off any excess organza from around the hoop, just so it doesn't dunk in our ink. So our hoop is ready, our screen if you will, and I'm just going to take my bag and I've got some card here. So you need probably an A3 piece or 2 A4 pieces, or you could just flatten out your box that your kit came in. Pop that inside, and this is just to stop the ink going through. So if your card's not quite big enough, you need to remember to move it as you print. So this is a good time to think about where you're going to place your prints on the bag. So you could do just a random all over print. That looks quite good with the little kind of bean shape, or the lightning bolt and flower look quite nice if you print them in 9, so 3 rows of 3. Or you could do some sort of diagonal or just along the bottom, just in the middle, in a circle, whatever you like. So this is your design, so you have a wee think before you start where you're going to put your pieces, and your bag's probably got a line fold down the middle, so it's quite good because you know that's your centre point. So when you're screen printing, you're going to use this little plastic thing here. This is called a squeegee, and this will drag the ink across your image and push it through onto your bag. So when you're working with your squeegee, you're going to put it into the ink and angle it at a 45-degree angle. And then firmly, one hand holding the hoop, you're going to pull the squeegee across your image until the other side. Give it a wee tap to get the ink off, pull it back, and then do a dry pull. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with my ink. So this is my ink that we made earlier. So obviously I said I was just going to go for magenta, whatever colour you've gone for. Grab it just now. And I'm going to take a teaspoon of ink, so not masses, just a teaspoon, and I'm going to dab it next to my image, so not on my image, because we don't want that yet, on the kind of bit that we sealed, just next to it like that. So my ink's like that, here's my image, and I'm going to pop my squeegee into my ink. Got my 45-degree angle, and then I'm going to firmly pull the ink across my image. Oh, see, so I've missed that bit there. So obviously I'm going to push more ink down like that. Do a second pull. And then get any excess ink off of your squeegee. So just put it onto your tub or wipe it off. And then I always like to do a dry pull. So I'm not pulling any ink over this time, I'm just getting any excess ink off. And the whole time I've been holding this firm with my other hand so it doesn't move. If it moves, you're gonna have a smudgy print and that's not gonna be any good. So pop your squeegee somewhere safe that's not gonna get on anything, because this ink does stain. Obviously it's for fabric, so it will stain any clothing that you're wearing, so make sure you have an apron on or something old. Then, the moment of truth. I pick up my screen and hopefully there's my image. So what you can do is carry on printing your image over your tote bag, and I am going to go for one next to it. Now remember that you may need to move your cardboard inside your bag, and in fact I might go that side first. And if at any point you end up overlapping like this, so if I do my print, my squeegee. Now see these little bits here that are happening? This is just because the ink's going under the screen, so maybe your screen isn't tight enough. So that's something to bear in mind, that when you're stretching your screen. But if you have overlapped at all, make sure you wipe the back so you can see I've got a bit of ink there. I'm gonna wipe, sometimes you just do it with your fingers or a wee bit of kitchen roll as well. And then you can just carry on. So that is me finished my print. I think it looks really jolly, really fun and bright. And if you've got any little bits around, don't worry too much about it. Don't get hung up on the little kind of little bits of ink and things like that. That is all in a hand printed bag, and that's what makes it unique to you. So if you want to do the back, hairdryer this side, make sure it's dry, flip it over, print your other side, even use this side as a tester side, and then flip it over and do your actual proper print on the back. You can wash your screen, so if you think, oh, it's getting a bit inky, I want to wash it under the cold tap, just lightly brush it with a sponge and let it dry fully. Dry with a tissue or a hairdryer. And then once you've finished all your prints and everything is dry, iron your prints. So a hot iron, holding it for a couple of seconds on each print, and that will set your ink. So this ink is set with heat, and that makes it washable. Now whether I would advise you to wash your bag or not, I probably wouldn't, but if you really need to, pop it inside out, wash it on a 30-degree wash, and the colour should stay fast. So that is how to print a tote bag with an embroidery hoop. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and if you have, you can share your projects with us at the Edinburgh Craft Club on Facebook and Instagram.